Sarah Koenig et al.'s multimedia project, Serial, provides an innovative narrative structure with the use of visual, audio, and language features to create a non-linear true crime story about Adnan Syed and his challenge of justice and truth while fighting the consistent uncertainty of what happened. My other related text, the Cronulla Riots documentary, with an advanced interactive multimedia website giving detail and the truth about the riots on similar use of visual, audio, and language features to tell this story. Both of these texts show aspects of our humanity with character development and search for justice. These ideas can be represented through contemporary expressions of layered within each other to create a new innovative and unorthodox story. In the Serial Multimedia Project, SMP, Sarah Koenig et al. Portrays Adnan as being duplicitous. The composer Koenig uses many multimodal features to shape the audience's perspective of Adnan as a contradictory young man who is two-faced. This has been achieved through the adoption of two lenses. The first is the familial one, which depicts Adnan as being devoted to his faith, family-driven, and studious. Koenig presents an interview of Saad Chowdhury, a close friend of the Syed family, to highlight the perceived inherent goodness of Adnan through the accumulation in, "They told me about Adnan Syed, their friend, not just a good kid but an especially good kid, smart, kind, goofy, handsome." Koenig's recount of the interview identifies how blinded his family were by the virtuous nature of their son. The listed adjectives of smart, good, kind, goofy, handsome reveal the absence of flaws and indicates how his family truthfully didn't believe he was capable of murder. Koenig then juxtaposes this view with a second lens that is presented by his friends, who depict him as an archetypal teenager with a passion for drugs, alcohol, and sex. Adnan's personality is also portrayed by Koenig with the use of images of vice. He's going to clubs, having sex with girls, smoking weed since the time he was 14 or 15. Culturally, yes, a Muslim, but the rest, not so much. This is a technique is effective in the way of juxtaposing Adnan's two personalities in short periods of time, where his peers may see him opposed to his family as a less dedicated Muslim and isn't as pure as depicted, which is also effective as it puts some doubt in the mind of the respondent's mind to whether he is guilty or not. In the multimodal text similar to SMP, the Cronulla Riots documentary, using multimodal features, the composer Jaya Baladera portrays Lebanese Muslim community as represented as victims in the text. Many features such as interactive text, videos of interviews, and other multimodal techniques to tell the story and show the gruesome and truthfully reality that the racism and violence can be so close to home. These actions has called Baladera to shape the perspective of the Lebanese Muslims as victims in the text. Visual imagery has been used to convey this idea. This has been done through pictures of the white Australian men physically abusing and assaulting Muslim men motivated by their race. These images give a visual representation of what Lebanese and Muslim communities are being targeted and falling victim to violence and racism, which affects them and shows how they have to live in constant fear despite them not doing anything wrong. Baladera continues to portray the idea that Muslims are falling victim to white Australians in the text. Another way they have done this is through the use of soundscape. The soundscape in the text is described as having an eerie background music in the main home screen of the website. The shallow background creates a dark sounding background that sets the scene for the viewer and is reflective of the horrible experiences of the Lebanese people in the text that gives off a sad, empty and depressing feel to the text. Clearly, Baladera has presented and shaped the perspective of the Lebanese as victims to engage the audience in this contemporary example. In the SMP, Sarah Koenig uses multimodal features to explore the nature of the truth as being elusive. This idea that the truth is elusive is related throughout the text with many inconsistencies, irrelevant information, omissions, cliffhangers, and much more that makes knowing the reality and the truth in the text elusive. Koenig establishes the ambiguity of the truth through an interview with Jay where narration of historical evidence is used. The existence or non-existence of security cameras, etc. She goes on, "I didn't know, we're stumps on this one, but let's assume it did exist on that day." Here Koenig leads the respondents to the story with irrelevant information that she already knew but gives it more attention than she should have, therefore creating a false belief and truth for the listener, making the idea of the truth more elusive. Koenig pursues the idea of an elusive truth and transparency throughout the text with the use of low modality language in, "So maybe Mr. S is telling the truth." This shows that Koenig manipulates and continues to utilize the truth in the story despite the serious nature of the story by using uncertain terms like maybe to discredit and entertain the respondents, and although it may create for a more engaging story, it still continues to present the truth as elusive. Koenig throughout utilizes the truth in a way that makes it elusive in order to engage the listenership in this contemporary narrative. In conclusion, multimodal features effectively engage the audience through a range of visual, audio, and language techniques to compose a text throughout the audience's undivided attention, to explore a range of ideas and topics throughout to engage them.